You will never buy bread again with this simple bread recipe in the comfort of your home. Hello everyone, welcome to African Beautiful Fashion and Lifestyle. In this video, we are going to be showing you how to make simple bread at home. So I have my active dry yeast. As you know, yeast loves sugar, so we are going to be adding some sugar with this yeast. So I used 1/4 of the yeast spoon. This is like 1 sachet of the active dry yeast, and then I had 1/4 cup of sugar. Then I'm going to be adding some warm water to activate the yeast and the sugar. So I'm going to use my cloth material to cover that bowl for 10 minutes until my yeast is activated. So if you ever proof your yeast and it's not activated, dump it, don't use it. You can see it all foaming up, which shows that my yeast is activated. If you don't get this consistency, please do not use. So I added 1 egg, and then I added evaporated milk. So this quantity of evaporated milk that I use, I'm going to be listing it in my recipe. And I just whisk the egg, the evaporated milk, I whisk it all together with already proof yeast sugar. And at this point, you can add your flour. So I'm going to be using 4 cups of bread flour. I added it to this mixture of liquid. So I'm going to be using my standard mixing machine to do the kneading. Like, I just want a stress-free recipe of this bread. Sometimes I use my hand, but today I'm doing a lazy method one. So I just stir the liquid together with the dry ingredients. So at this point, I remember that I did not put salt, so I will be adding salt after I added the leftover evaporated milk. So I just make sure everything is well combined, and I'm going to be attaching my hook dough kneader to the machine, this one. So my machine comes with 3 different hooks. I'm going to be using the dough kneader, which is the one that looks like an hanger. So that's what we're going to be using for this recipe. And this is my salt, is 1 teaspoon of salt. I just added it to the bread recipe. It's going to be savory of sweet and salty, all mingled together. So I would advise you always put your dry ingredient together in dry ingredient to ensure proper mixing, especially when you are mixing with hand. But because I'm using with the mixer, so I know the mixer is going to do the job. So I just knit the dough. I knitted it for like 10 minutes, and guys, look at this. Like, I did not lift a finger. See how smooth that dough is. It's super soft and smooth. And guys, our bread is 50% there. Like, we are 50% done with this bread recipe. So I'm just scraping it off from the hook. And next, I am going to be adding some butter. So you can see this consistency before we add butter. Check it. If it is too hard, you might want to add some liquid, some milk, or some warm water to loosen things up, just to make sure everything is soft. So I'm going to be using half of the stick of this soft butter. You can see how soft that butter is. So I took it out of the fridge and leave it at room temperature to achieve this soft consistency. So I just added half a stick of butter to my mixture, to my dough mixture, and then I'm going to knit this so that it's well combined for another 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. And this is what it looks like knitting. See, it's moving with force because it's doing a big and wonderful job. Okay, guys. Okay. So we just make sure the butter is well combined together with the flour dough, and we're going to stop our mixer and move on to the next thing, which is going to be to actually divide the dough to the shapes that we want. So if you want to make like dinner roll, you can divide this into small ball shape sizes. But in this case, I want to make two large loaves of bread. So I scrape everything out of the the mixer, and I'm just going to oil another bowl with oil. Just like that, I put some olive oil in that wooden bowl, and I'm going to brush it just to make sure that I have even coating in the bowl before I put my dough in there. So I'm just going to transfer from the standard mixer mixing dough to this container. See, our dough is super soft. See that consistency? That's the kind of consistency you want to achieve for your bread. You don't want it to be too strong, because if it is too strong, by the time your bread is ready and baked, it will be so hard that it's not even going to stick together. Everything will just be falling apart. So I let it cover and rise for like 1 hour, and then 1 hour later it has double or triple in size. Then give it a punch to deflate the air in it, and then give it a gentle mix. You don't want to over mix it at this point. Yes, you do not want to over do it. So I just divided it into two, and then one of the two I divided it into smaller chunks, the way you can see, 4 smaller chunks, and I'm going to roll it up and use it to form our bread of loaf. Yes, it is Operation DIY. It is homemade, bring to you by African Beautiful Fashion and Lifestyle. If you are watching me and you enjoy this video, please do ensure to follow for more awesome recipe, and we will be more than happy to teach you uh, any recipe that you might choose for us in our next video. So I just roll that smaller chunk up in that manner, and then I'm just going to roll it up once it is well rolled. So I'm struggling with this rolling pin. It's a stone, no? And it's just kind of like slippery. I don't want it to fall, so I just roll up my dough in that manner. And then once that is done, I'm just going to make sure I use my hand to seal up, to shape it, because I don't want to bake it like this. You can actually bake like this and achieve a one long loaf of bread. But in my case, I want to make layer of loaf. So I'm just shaping it so that I can fit my bread baking pan. So I'm sealing up the edges right there, and guys, see how soft this is. So in my bread pan, I'm just going to oil it up. You can butter it up. Do you, boo? Do whatever works for you. But in my case, I just arrange my dough in that bread pan, as you can see, and I repeated the same thing for the rest. And the last one, instead of doing it in a single layer to bring together, I just roll it all up in one chunk. So it's going to be a big loaf of fair bread, and I'm just using my knife to make incision on this bread. Just kind of like give this bread a different look other than just looking all plain. And guys, I cover up and let it rise for another 30 to 45 minutes, and put it in the oven 350-degree for 30 minutes. And guess what? Our bread is ready. See how dry it looks on the edge. Then we butter down to give it that shiny look. And guys, this is it. The recipe is a slow motion recipe. I don't want to cut. It's uncut, on a like uncut version of this bread recipe. I just butter up on this bread recipe. See how shiny it is. I mean, this bread is, oh my god, the freshness of the bread is smelling all over. Like if you walk in, you must definitely know that something is baking. See how gorgeous this bread look. It's golden bread and it just looks beautiful. And guys, I did review, I did take this bread to work and almost done with this two loaf of bread. My colleague were like, oh, we need to do video recording for Lydia. We need to talk about this bread. But most of them are already done. So I have like two people that did review this bread. So I will be uploading that video in a separate video because this recipe video is already long. I don't want it to be too longer than it's actually necessary. I'm going to be posting that later. This bread is so hard, soft. See how soft it is. OMG. I told you, you will never buy bread again. If you master this recipe, you can adjust it to make it your own. Thank you for watching African Beautiful Fashion and Lifestyle. And this is it. This is the second loaf of bread. It looks so amazing. See, even the bag, everything is well baked evenly. It's not like, see the softness. So guys, this is it. Let me know if you have any question in the comment section. Thank you.